I got myself out of the chair, looked at myself in the mirror and told myself that I would walk again.
To have your loved one murdered, it's just unimaginable.
It is so easy to be tricked by so many things in our society.
It was the first time I'd ever actually heard somebody else talk about their experience with anxiety and the first time they felt hope for the future.
Kindness has saved my life on many different occasions. The first time, I had just been told I'd never walk again, so I'd broken my back on the sporting field. I was pretty defeated in that moment, as you can imagine. It's a sobering reality to have to face into, and emotions were close to the surface, and I had my head in my hands with tears starting to come out of my eyes, and a random stranger saw that I couldn't reach an elevator button. It was centimetres out of reach. He walked past and pressed that button for me, and I hadn't realised it at the time until I heard the ping of the elevator arriving, and as he walked off into the distance, I realised that that act had absolutely no meaning to him, but a significant one to me. I'd got downstairs into my room and the tears that were escaping my eyes earlier had vanished. I got myself out of the chair, looked at myself in the mirror and told myself that I would walk again. It felt like he believed in me and I needed to believe in myself again. And that's what kindness has the power to do. The Kindness Factory started almost like a bit of an online blog. It was a social media page of kindness. Simply, I recognised I'd received a ton of kindness through my periods of adversity and I wanted to pay forward the kindness that I'd received. So I started doing small things for others. I raised some money for kids in wheelchairs, bought dinner for the homeless, etc. And it got quite catchy. People from all around Australia and then the world started sending me acts of kindness. So far, we've seen close to 8 million acts of kindness from all around the globe being logged on our website. Through those acts of kindness, we've been able to collect data. What that data has allowed us to do is to co-create a kindness curriculum, and that exists in 3,500 Aussie schools and beyond that within the university pathway in the UK and high schools in the USA as well. So that's a social and emotional learning tool that teaches the basic principles of kindness to kids. What that's doing is increasing mental health and wellness within children and allowing them to create a form of resilience that matters to them. So far, we've seen a decrease in absenteeism as well as greater academic outputs. So when we're in a kind state, i.e. we're giving or receiving kindness, we actually open up our neural pathways a little bit more within the brain and we can absorb information better as well. So we're seeing kids not only perform acts of kindness and being kind to themselves and others, but they're actually growing academically in the process as well, which has been something that surprised us, but something that we're really proud of as well. We never know what a person's enduring, and I think sometimes kindness can often be underestimated, but we've had so many people tell us that kindness has saved their life. So it's fundamentally important to thriving and also to human connection in the process as well. No act of kindness is wasted.
I want to make the world a better place, specifically to liberate people from what is holding them back. And amazingly, I found the best tool to do that is science. The thing that inspired me about science was realising that it's not a bunch of facts, because that's an encyclopedia, but rather science is a way to try to understand the world, and it is also self-correcting. It picks up its errors. And so that's why science is a way to not get fooled. One major challenge I find in society today is the spread of misinformation, disinformation, or just plain lies. It is so easy to be tricked by so many things in our society. But if you stick to science, on average, you'll go down a better pathway. I have 16 years of university education in physics and mathematics and biomedical engineering and medicine and surgery, and I've worked in all those fields, as well as several years of computer science, astrophysics, philosophy and electrical engineering. A few sciencey highlights of my career were working as a physicist, testing steel for bridges and teaching in academic institutions, as well as doing groundbreaking research into belly button fluff and why it's almost always blue, as well as designing and building a machine for Fred Hollows to pick up electrical signals of the human retina. But more importantly, what I do is I talk about the good science that other real scientists do and turning it into plain English for other people to understand. I'm always teaching myself by reading the latest scientific literature. I then put out the information in the form of stories on various media, such as I do over a dozen radio shows each week, and then writing as well. The main impact I've had on people is to teach them that science is a worthwhile career and it's good to use your brain. And so I'll be in the supermarket and somebody will say, hey, I've been listening to you on the radio, and as a result, I've decided to take up nursing, finish my high school education, do a PhD or become a carpenter. And I don't know what it is about me talking sciencey stuff on radio that makes them want to have a career where they're using their brain, but it makes me very happy.
Growing up, I really struggled with my mental health and had pretty severe anxiety. I was 12 and going on school camp, and all of my friends were so excited to go to the Great Aussie Bush Camp, and I was dreading it. I was so anxious and I was so afraid. This teacher came up to me and she shared about her experience with anxiety, and she gave me tips and told me that I wasn't alone in this experience. And it was the first time I'd ever actually heard somebody else talk about their experience with anxiety, and the first time that I felt hope for the future, because I was seeing this teacher who was incredible and had this wonderful life, but who also had anxiety. Having that conversation on the stairs of my high school was really quite a game changer for me. And I went to camp and I had a wonderful time on this camp, and I wanted to create that moment for other young people. So I started talking to my friends about mental health, and lo and behold, other people were also struggling, but everyone was so afraid to say something because there wasn't education about what mental health was. So I started running workshops in local high schools around mental health and sharing my story and sharing the story of others who do have a mental health condition but who are still able to do these really incredible things in their life. So I wear multiple hats in the youth mental health space. The first is as a researcher. I'm currently completing my PhD at the University of New South Wales and the Black Dog Institute, and my research aims to improve the assessment of mental ill health for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander young people. At the moment, we don't have appropriate tools that measure mental health or distress, which means governments aren't able to effectively plan or create policies that improve the social and emotional well-being for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander young people. So my work as a researcher is aiming to improve that and look at how we can improve our cultural validity in the work that we do as clinicians and as researchers. I'm also the co-founder of the Origin Global Youth Mental Health Fellowship. The fellowship aims to empower young people with a lived experience from around the world to continue to create change in their communities by providing them with access to world-class leaders, workshops and mentoring to support the development of their projects in their communities, whilst also completing a global advocacy project. As a psychologist and as a researcher, I get to work with young people with mental health conditions and get to see all the beauty and the joy that comes within that, and the hope that there is for young people. I want to ensure that young people have a space to share their stories safely and freely to reduce the stigma that surrounds youth mental health.
I meet families at their absolute worst. To have your loved one murdered, it's just unimaginable. For the last 31 years of my life, I've been running the Homicide Victims Support Group in New South Wales. The most important mission is to make sure that every family member of a homicide victim has the opportunity to get support. That could be in the way of a home visit, telephone counselling, support group meetings, being with them when they go through the criminal justice system, helping them organise the funeral of their loved one. It's about what is it individually that we can do for this person that's going to want them to survive another day without their loved one. With a lot of the children that come to Homicide Victims Support Group, they are families where domestic violence has landed them with us. Lots of kids who are, I always say, the forgotten grievers. So it's important for me to look at what we can do for those children. In 2016, I embarked on building a world-first residential trauma centre for children and their families affected by homicide. So last year, we opened up Grace's Place. There's a residential component to it, which means that when police are at a crime scene, they can bring the family members that are left behind to Grace's Place at any time of day or night, and we can help them. What motivates me day in, day out is seeing those family members survive. And that's a wonderful thing because they do survive. When I get the invitations for birthday parties and weddings and just the celebrations that they have in their life, where at the time of the homicide and, for a long time, they never ever think that they will ever feel happy or smile. And I see all of that. I see all that growth in people, and that's what I love about the work that I and my amazing team do.